and welcome to Warblog. This is a new feature video. It's not an exciting or impressive features on the introduction of new features scoreboard. I'm not doing very well. Okay, lots of new scenarios, but new features are not coming out because I'm lazy. They will do bit by bit. I've just got to find some convenient time, and that might happen soon, but it might not. I'm not in any urgent rush because I think it's playable enough as it is. But anyway, this was something I thought, hang on, I could do this, and it didn't take a lot of effort. And within a few moments, I've done it. And essentially, the new feature is non-combatants. Non-combatants. So if we look down this list of durabulas, there's a couple more that have it now, but I think this is one I did it before to start with. You've got the Turkish units, or the Turkish force with their Free Syrian Army, Turkish-backed militias, and the US air power, so an alliance of forces, the ISIS units. But also down here we have non-combatants. Now I'm not going to push this too much because I'm a bit concerned because I haven't played it through or anything. Basically they don't work. So the Kurds here are not involved in this initiative. It's the Turkish fighting the ISIS. They're not being backed by the Kurds because the Turkish have just attacked the Kurds, or they've pretty much sort of done things that the Kurds don't like. To start off with, in this particular scenario, the Kurds were looking to take all this for themselves so that they can, it's actually visible in the other one, the Euphrates Shield, so they can link up their two territories. And this is sort of pretty much denying them that. So in this scenario, the Turkish are not helping, but they're not part of the opposing force. Now, the way I did this before, and you can sort of almost see it because I'd started this before, it's a bit of an odd scenario. I was giving units 0 movement, so they would appear somewhere, but the opposing player couldn't use them when they came onto their turn. So for example, on this one, I could say that these were part of the Turkish units, but give them all 0 movement and they couldn't move. And that was how I was doing it before, but it sort of doesn't look so good. And well, this is basically non-combatant. So they're regular movement units like everything else. So we're going to play this game. Now it's the Turkish first, so let's maybe do an artillery strike on this, and it's the first turn, so they don't get to do anything. Yes, I see. That's what you get from paying attention. Basically, they will never be able to fire because their movement is 0. Because it appears that they've moved, so they can't fire. So I'm going to have to sort that out. It's not really a non-combatants issue because I just didn't want the Turkish applying their artillery, but as you'll see from the Euphrates Shield, they did. So obviously I can't do that, so that's going to have to be fixed. So it doesn't really matter. I can still continue with the scenario because I don't have to play it to really sort of get into it. So I'm going to, I don't have anything else to move, so, but let's see whether we can do the airstrikes on the first turn. Oh, look at that, it works. Let me just do everything in one go. 2-to-1 odds. No result. No, I should have done that in 2 little blows. The AA didn't take any effect. I'm still suspicious whether the AA works, but I did play a recent game where it did, so well, let's see what the Turkish can do without any serious artillery support. I can't be bothered to think of the odds. 1-to-3, attack or retreat. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm not trying to play this competitively. The artillery should have basically peppered these lot up until they were fatigued, etc., etc. But the point is, as a Turkish player, I can't move these non-combatants. So let's end their turn. I mean, I'm sure you understand this, and you need to labour it, but the tutorial for the harder thinking, I will continue. So now it's the ISIS turn, and as ISIS player, they can't move these units either. So basically, these units exist, but they can't be moved. I'm not going to say they can't be attacked, because clearly they can, which is interesting in its own right as well. What happens if I attack them? Well, obviously if I attack them, the attacker retreats. Which isn't really a big problem. I'm thinking now, so I've gone silent. So I'll stop thinking. I will, as a next thing, change this because it doesn't really matter. Because as you'll see from the Euphrates Shield scenario, they do actually get to move their artillery. But I hadn't really realised that because I've got them with 0 movement points elsewhere as artillery, and the assumption was that they could fire. But clearly they can't, so I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. Anyway, so that's non-combatants, and you'll see them in other games, and the reason that they're there is because quite a lot of these games have multiple participants. I mean, for example, it would be quite easy to get up to, say, 4 separate forces in this game, in this sort of scenario in the Middle East, because you've got the ISIS players, you've got Turkey now, you've got the Kurds, and then you've got the Syrians. So the Syrians are the 4th combatant, and in which case it would be a non-combatant, which they are in the Euphrates Shield. So there's 4, but you could also have more non-combatants as you introduce more of the little militia groups, and you know, other nation states. It could go on. So it might. It's basically the difference is. It's sort of labour if I was doing talking. The difference is, otherwise this would be empty. Now, I initially thought that ISIS had control of this side of the river, but I realise now that it's all Kurds. So I could have put the focus further over to the east. But the thing is, if I didn't have this non-combatant rule in, I would have had to either put them in as 0 movement, which would have been doable, but they would have been on one of the sides, or have it empty. You know, this means that I don't have to have sort of areas empty, because you might think, well, why don't they go into here? You know, why don't they just cross the river and sort of outflank across this river, across this bridge here? Look, I can come over here, up here, across the border, across this, take out the artillery bit by bit. You know, you might think that because it's only worth 1 defence. But you can't, because there's these Kurdish units, which we now know, which is a nice little sort of side effect, that it actually works in combat, so you can attack them and lose, which is nice to know, because I was wondering whether or not they just wouldn't appear, or whether there'd be some kind of syntax error or whatever. But that's it really. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a shame it's not one of the clever sort of new developments that I've been promising for years now. But it is a little one, and so I am trying to do videos that cover the updates as I do them, just to sort of demonstrate that it's being developed, and I think people are interested in anything, especially there's some more behind the scenes things, and there are more behind the scenes things happening than people are aware. But essentially, that's it, non-combatants. So if you want to play a game with non-combatants, then you can. I mean, seeing as we've got some more video and just like talking, I will have a look at the Euphrates Shield one, where we will see movable artillery. Oh hey, non-combatant Kurds, woohoo! Non-combatant Syrians, hey hey. Too excited. So here we have all the Turkish forces. It's pretty much just like Jarabulus. it is exactly like Travelers, but here's the non-combatants down here. So you can now start to populate complex scenarios, and this one hasn't been finished. I should really get back to it. We should have lots more roads and things. And just for anyone that might have a slight interest, and essentially what's happening here is what this scenario is. It's really Durabulus, but it's the extension of it, because they pretty much didn't get any resistance in Durabulus. They just walked straight through it. And I mean, to be quite honest, I haven't looked. I don't look at the news all the time, and I'm pretty sure that they've got a bit further. But they'd sort of got up to here. They'd taken both of these objectives, and there was a race for whatever this place is down here. Come on, 5 points. Idab. The race for Idab, something like that. Idib. The race for Idib, it was called. And basically, everyone was racing for this because the Kurds want it. I think the Syrians want it. Obviously, ISIS wants it. But the Turks, with their Free Syrian Army, they also want it, because even though they've lost Durabulus, they can still create a Kurdish link between this area, which is Latakia, something like that, this area, and there's not really much between them, just Idlib, because they've got Manjib, which is there, which is the battle that's featured on this side. And I think the US concerned that Turkish might attack Manjib, because that's what they don't want. They don't want this connection, and that's pretty much what the drive is. It's probably more complex than that, but interestingly enough, it's this massive tank units. I think there's 4 tank brigades, regiments. So those are pretty tough. I mean, 14 against 3. They're pretty much going to, against 2. 7 to 1. They're pretty much going to walk straight through all of this. But I mean, it's an interesting thing about the whole of the Middle East at the moment is, they might be able to take it with these massive tanks, but will they be able to hold it? And I haven't looked at the news recently, so I don't know. But I mean, last time I looked, tanks were not that great against these ISIS people with their anti-tank weapons. So either they've run out of anti-tank weapons. I mean, you can't afford to lose too many tanks for a £60,000 anti-tank weapon when your tanks cost several million. I don't know how much these anti-tank things cost, but yeah, I mean, just sending through a load of tanks. I mean, I'm pretty sure if it was that simple, the Syrians would have done it, and they wouldn't have lost as many tanks as they had. But anyway, it's nearly 15 minutes, so I'm pretty much not going to talk for much longer. I see that my speaker is off, my phone, so I wonder if I'm actually recording anything. We'll see, won't we? Maybe a silent video is better. Okay, well, and remember, if you like this, these clever little things on the map, you can press the play now button, and it will say, well, you can press the sign up button, and you pay money into PayPal, which goes into my special personal account that I get to spend on developing the game and living the high life. And then you get to move the counters around as many times as you want and play these games. And as you can see, some of them are incredibly balanced, just like the Durabulus one, where we attacked Durabulus and lost dismally because it wasn't working. But some of them are a bit more of a challenge. So anyway, the game will be constantly developed over time, but the gap between major developments could vary depending on my schedule, etc., etc. So stay tuned onto YouTube for all the latest developments. I've still got a minute to go, but I'm not going to labour that through. Stay tuned to YouTube for all the latest developments and sort of things that happen and all that. And I hope you enjoy it all. Cheerio, bye. Where's the off button? Alright.